Up till now, we have seen various terms like what is meant by evaporation, how the evaporation is measured, and what are the equipment used for measurement of evaporation. So with respect to the various pans that we have already studied, there is a term which is called as pan coefficient. Why the pan coefficient is needed and what is the role of it, let us understand. Evaporation pans are not exact models of large reservoirs and have the following principal drawbacks. So which are the drawbacks that the pans are having? Let us see. First is they differ in the heat storing capacity and heat transfer from the sides and bottom. The sunken pan and floating pan aim to reduce this deficiency. As a result of this factor, the evaporation from a pan depends to a certain extent on its size. While a pan of 3-meter diameter is known to give a value which is about the same as from a neighboring large lake, a pan of 1-meter diameter size indicates about 20% excess evaporation than that of the 3-meter diameter pan. Means what? Even if the diameter of pan is more, then evaporation doesn't mean it will be more. In case of a pan having less diameter of 1 meter, it shows 20% excess in evaporation. Naturally, as per the analogy, we must consider that the evaporation in case of a large pan will be equivalent to the evaporation of a large water body, but practically it is not so. In case of smaller pans, you will see more evaporation losses. Second is the height of the rim in an evaporation pan affects the wind action over the surface. Also, it casts a shadow of variable magnitude over the water surface. So it will act as a obstruction in the evaporation. Third is the heat transfer characteristics of the pan material is different from that of the reservoir. So naturally it is going to happen because pans are made up of different metals, galvanized metal sheets, and naturally the ponds, lakes, they are embedded inside the ground. So the heat transfer characteristics differ widely. So in view of all these aspects, there is a pan coefficient. So in view of the above, the evaporation observed from a pan has to be corrected to get the evaporation from a lake under similar climatic and exposure conditions. Thus, a coefficient is introduced as lake evaporation is equal to Cp into pan evaporation, where C suffix P is equal to pan coefficient. The values of Cp in use for different pans are given in the following table. So let us see the pan coefficients for different types of pan. So for class A pan, the average value is 0.7 and the range is 0.6 to 8. ISI pan, it is zero point 0.8. Colorado sunken pan 0.78. USGS, US Geological Survey floating pan, it is zero point 0.8. So you can see that about 70 to 80% value is considered as the average value. Okay, that means you have to multiply to get the lake evaporation. You have to multiply this pan evaporation by this pan coefficient. Only 80% of the value of pan evaporation value, it is equivalent to the lake evaporation value. Means what? Actually the pan is showing more evaporation losses as compared to the lake evaporation by considering these values. Now the evaporation stations, just like the rain gauge stations, there are certain prerequisites for the evaporation stations. It is usual to install evaporation pans in such locations where other meteorological data
are also simultaneously collected. The World Meteorological Organization recommends the minimum network of evaporimeter stations as below. So in case of arid zones, one station for every 30,000 kilometer, 30,000 kilometer square. In humid temperate climates, one station for every 50,000 kilometer square. And in case of cold regions, one station for every 1 lakh kilometer square. Currently, about 220 pan evaporimeter stations are being maintained by the India Meteorological Department. There are some empirical equations to estimate the values of evaporation. So let us see. A large number of empirical equations are available to estimate lake evaporation using commonly available meteorological data. Most formulae are based on the Dalton type equation and can be expressed in the general form like EL is equal to K into F of U into EW minus EA, where EL is the lake evaporation in mm per day. Whenever we will calculate the evaporation as a loss, it will be calculated in terms of mm per day. Small e suffix W is equal to saturated vapor pressure at the water surface temperature in mm of mercury. E suffix A is equal to actual vapor pressure of overlying air at a specified height in mm of mercury. F of U is equal to wind speed correction function and K is a coefficient. The terms EA is measured at the same height at which the wind speed is measured. Two commonly used empirical evaporation formulae are the following. So which are the two formulae? Let us see. First one is the Mayer's formula, which is derived by Mayer in 1915, which shows EL is equal to K suffix M into bracket EW minus EA into bracket 1 plus U9 divided by 16 bracket complete, in which EL, EW and EA are having the same meaning as prescribed earlier. U9 is the monthly mean wind velocity in kilometer per hour at about 9 meter above ground, and Km, this is K suffix M, is equal to coefficient accounting for various other factors with a value of 0.36 for large deep waters and 0.5 for small shallow waters. Then next is the Rover's formula, which is derived by the scientist Rover in 1931. So the Rover's formula considers a correction for the effect of pressure in addition to the wind speed effect, and is given by evaporation loss is equal to 0.771 into bracket 1.465 minus 0.000732 P suffix A bracket complete into other bracket 0.44 plus 0.0733 U0 bracket complete multiplied by into bracket E suffix W minus EA, in which EL, EW and EA are as defined earlier. PA, P suffix A, means barometric reading in mm of mercury. U0 is equal to mean wind velocity in kilometer per hour at ground level, which can be taken to be the velocity at 0.6 meter height above the ground. Now some analytical methods are also there to estimate the evaporation losses in lakes. The analytical method for determination of lake evaporation can be broadly classified into three categories. First one is water budget method, second is energy balance method, and third is the mass transfer method. So what is water budget method? To find out the evaporation estimate, let us understand. The water budget method is the simplest of the three analytical methods and is also the least reliable. It involves writing the hydrological continuity equation for the lake and determining the evaporation from a knowledge or estimation of other variables. Thus, considering the daily average values for lake, the continuity equation is written as P plus VIS plus VIG is equal to VOS plus VOG plus EL plus delta S plus T suffix L. So this is the continuity equation out of which we are interested into this E suffix L, that is the evaporation loss. The equation is written over here, where P is daily precipitation. This P is daily precipitation. V suffix IS is equal to daily surface inflow into the lake. V suffix IG is equal to daily groundwater inflow. V suffix OS, daily surface outflow from the lake. V suffix OG is equal to daily seepage outflow. E suffix L is equal to daily lake evaporation. Delta S is equal to increase in the lake storage in a day. T suffix L is daily transpiration loss. So all these are considered on the daily basis. All these quantities are in units of volume in meter cube or depth mm over a reference area. Equation stated above can be written as or rewritten as EL is equal to P plus into bracket VIS minus VOS plus VIG minus VOG minus TL minus delta S. In this term, the terms P, VIS, VOS and delta S can be measured. However, it is not possible to measure VIG, VOG and TL, and therefore these quantities can only be estimated. Okay, so you cannot find out the you can write down these quantities, only you can estimate this quantity VIG, VOG and TL, T suffix L. Second analytical method is energy budget method. So before proceeding for the method, first of all look at the figure over here. This figure is what? Energy balance in a water body. So based on the earlier method was based on the continuity equation, and this method is with respect to the energy balance in a water body. So you can see the water body, it is shown just like a lake or pond over here, and various energies are shown, which are incoming energies and outgoing energies. So here Hg, it is the heat flux into the ground. Advection, it is Hi. Then heat stored, it is Hs. Then solar radiation Hc. Back radiation H suffix B. Reflected Rhc. Heat loss into the air H suffix A. Evaporation loss rho into L into EL. Likewise, various energies, incoming and outgoing energies, are shown in this energy budget method. This is nothing but energy balance in a water body. Okay. So the energy budget method is an application of the law of conservation of energy. It is the application of law of conservation of energy. The energy available for the evaporation is determined by considering the incoming energy, outgoing energy, and the energy stored in the water body over a known time interval. Considering the water body as in the following figure, the energy balance to the evaporating surface in a period of the day is given by H suffix n is equal to Ha plus He plus Hg plus Hs plus Hi, where H suffix n is equal to net heat energy received by the water surface is equal to H suffix c into bracket 1 minus R minus H suffix b, in which Hc into bracket 1 minus R is equal to incoming solar radiation into a surface of reflection coefficient albedo R. So this is solar radiation Hc, and this is 1 minus R into Hc. Hb is equal to back radiation, long wave from the water body. This is the back radiation. Ha, sensible heat transfer from the water surface to the air. This is the Ha. H suffix E is heat energy used up in evaporation, then which is equal to rho L E suffix L. This is suffix L, where rho is density of water, L is latent heat of evaporation, and E suffix L is equal to evaporation in mm. So entire thing it is given over here, rho L into EL. It is the heat energy used up in evaporation. Then Hg, it is the heat flux into the ground. This is the Hg. Hs is the heat stored in the water body. This is the stored heat into the water body. Hi is equal to net heat conducted out of the system by water flow. This is advected energy Hi. So all the energy terms are in calories per square mm per day. If the time periods are short, the terms Hs and Hi can be neglected as negligibly small. All the terms except Ha can either be measured or evaluated indirectly. The sensible heat terms Ha, which cannot be readily measured, is estimated by Bound's ratio B, given by the expression beta is equal to Ha upon rho L E suffix L, which is further equal to 6.1 into 10 raised to minus 4 into P suffix A, on the numerator Tw minus Ta upon Ew minus Ea, where P suffix A is atmospheric pressure in mm of mercury, Ew is equal to saturated vapor pressure in mm of mercury, Ea is equal to actual vapor pressure of air in mm of mercury, Tw is equal to temperature of water surface in degree Celsius, and Ta is equal to temperature of air in degree Celsius. From earlier equations, El can be evaluated as El is equal to Hn minus Hg minus Hs minus Hi upon rho into L into bracket 1 plus beta. So this beta you need to calculate by this earlier equation, and ultimately by this energy budget method we are interested to find out this El. So here by using all the terms we are calculating the loss, rather evaporation loss over here. Last method is mass transfer method. This method is based on the theories of turbulent mass transfer in boundary layer to calculate the mass water vapor transfer from the surface to the surrounding atmosphere. So I went through various reference books. It is stated over there that this method is a vast kind of method which cannot be justified in their particular content, and therefore it is not elaborated in many of the books. So that's it. You just have to remember the name of the method, that mass transfer method. This method is based on the theories of turbulent mass transfer in boundary layer to calculate the mass water vapor transfer from the surface to the surrounding atmosphere. So I hope you understood the concepts, how the different kinds of equations are used to calculate the evaporation losses in various structures like lakes, ponds, etc. Okay, you have gone through different types of formulae stated in analytical methods. Okay, so I hope you understood the entire things. I request all of you to go through standard literature, standard reference books. If you face any difficulty, you are free to ask me on my email address dnpaitankar@sanjeevani.org.in. Thank you for listening. Happy learning.